Hello everyone and welcome to another live edition of Shardcast. I'm your host Aaron Froats and I thank you for joining me as Shardcast has the honor and distinction of fulfilling an idea of two hosts from Threshold Hex Podcast, Josh Augustine and Outlandish Matt. If you're following along in episode 30 of the Threshold Podcast, Josh and Matt presented listeners with a contest to build their best wild ramp deck. This was after they dismissed the original idea of a fight to the death match among the hosts. So after I listened to the podcast, I posed the idea to do a Shardcast of the original plan, just to see who would have won had Josh had his wish to play Matt with their newly constructed decks. So, they happily agreed, and here we are. So, as I get you out to the action, we'll be watching the best of three match from Matt's point of view, who is playing under the Threshold name in-game, who is facing off against Josh, who plays as Ferus in-game. So, if you're watching us live, please be thinking about and asking questions, as Matt and Josh will be joining me afterwards for a live discussion of their match, after we crown our winner. So, let's go ahead and get you out to the match as soon as they're ready to go. It looks like the two gentlemen are getting through their deck right now and make sure their deck is set up ready to play. So as soon as they're ready to roll, we'll go ahead and get you out to the coin flip. Again, afterwards, we'll be having them join us to discuss the match we are about to play. It is best of three exhibition, and these will be both wild ramp decks. So we'll see who actually comes out on top between the two. And afterwards, we'll discuss with them, and we'll go ahead and give you a breakdown of what the Threshold Podcast actually is. In case you are new to the Threshold Podcast, we'll go ahead and give you links to their podcast. They have, like I said, 30. And actually, it looks like they're about ready to go. Let's go ahead and see if we can't get you over to the match. Here comes the coin flip. Hopefully. Yeah, there we go. And Matt will be playing Running Deer, which, of course, is the wild champion that gives you 5 life if you spend 4 charges. And Ferus will be playing Kishimoto, who actually gives... Oh, and there's our new notification system there that came in the last patch that lets you know that Ferus mulligan down to 6. The Threshold's going to look over his... Let's see, hold on just a second. Right now, I've got both Matt and Josh on Skype right now for when our discussion goes on afterwards. So Matt's asking Josh to get off of Skype there, that way he doesn't hear what's going on with his hand. So Matt actually kept his hand. He's got 3 wild shards, a Fist of Brigadon, Drew's Colossus, Jadim, and Puck Dreambringer. So... I think they're waiting on me, and I'm trying to figure out why. There we go. Go ahead and give them the green light there. And our match is underway. So, Ferus, who mulliganed down to 6, went ahead and played a wild shard for turn and passed turn over to Matt. Matt does the same. This probably will be a quick matchup here, as both are familiar with their decks, and they're both playing wild decks, so they'll probably know about what the other person's playing. Ferus is going to play Puck Dreambringer, which is one of the new cards that came out in one of the previous patches there. That's going to be one of those where if you exhaust Puck while he's on the board, it's going to look at the cards you have in hand. For each troop that costs 5 or more, you're going to get 1 temporary resource. So Ferus gets out and play, passes turn over to Matt. Again, if you're joining us live, go ahead and be submitting your questions, as we will be talking to Matt and Josh afterwards, where they can answer your questions and we can discuss what went on in the match. This is a best of 3 exhibition match. Matt plays a Puck Dreambringer of his own, and he'll pass turn back over with his 2 resources. Josh drops a wild shard there, goes up to 3 resources, 4 cards in hand, 3 charges. Kishimoto, again, as I was discussing a few minutes ago, is the champion that Josh is playing. For 4 charges, he can give target troop he controls +2/+2 this turn. So he holds on to 3 resources, doesn't play anything, and passes turn to Matt. Matt draws a Howling Brave and goes and drops the Wild Shard. I think at this point in time with 3 resources, he'll probably see if he can't use the Puck Dreambringer, see if he can't get out the Jadim or Drew. He goes up to 7 resources there. He's going to put... Well, that's because he's got 4 troops that have 5 cost or more. So because of that, he goes from 3 resources up to 7 for this turn. So he can play virtually any card in his hand. He'll probably play Jadim and then Howling Brave right behind it, would be my guess. He does. That would give him another resource next turn, but also makes Jadim a 6/6. That's a formidable force already for Josh to look at facing across the board. He's going to draw a card and drop his 4th resource. 4 cards in hand. 4 charges. Let's see if Josh, who's playing by the name Ferus in game, drops a Jadim of his own, or what he's going to play here. He now has 7 temporary resources. He's going to play Crazy Squirrel Titan. Be interesting because as it comes into play, he has to deal the 4 damage. I wonder if he's trying to use his champion power to make it deal damage afterwards. But he can also put it on the stack. Maybe. Nope, he's going to go ahead and take the puck off the board. Be curious to see if we can't try that and see if you can't put the champion power on the chain and give the Crazy Scroll Titan +2/+2. I doubt that will work though, because you can't give it until it comes into play. Nevertheless, Threshold, Matt draws a card, another Battle Beetle. Exhaust the Howling Brave, plays Drew's Colossal Walker out there, going to gain 5 health. Jadim goes up to 11/11 due to Drew. Drew is an 8/8 troop with Crush. Has to attack each turn able, but it won't ready unless you pay 8 health. He's going to swing 11 flying. Josh, no flying troops, will take 11 on the chin. So, that's a pretty good assessment by Matt. He's typing out there. Yeah, with Jadim being one of the few flying troops that Wild has, whoever gets Jadim out first probably got a huge advantage here. So Josh goes down to 9 health, draws another card for turn. Matt's sitting at 25 right now. So Josh is going to be facing 11 flying, so unless he can get Jadim off the board, we'll be done with game 1 already. Josh exhausts Puck Dreambringer, goes up to 8 temporary resources, as he dropped a wild shard for the turn. That tells me all 3 cards in his hand are 5 cost or more. Out comes Battle Beetle. He can give it flight, so he'll at least be able to block Jadim. Oh, I'm sorry, he's got the other gem in it. My apologies. He's got the gem that gives target troop plus attack plus defense when it comes into play. He still has 2 resources back. But I can't... I know from the way the Puck Dreambringer worked that he has 2 cards, 2 troops in his hand that cost 5 or more. So he's going to swing with the 9/10 Scroll Titan, do damage to Matt, bring him down to 16, but unless he has something held back that I can't seem to think of, Matt's going to swing for the win here. Survival of the Fittest would be a good card here, however, like I said, because the way Puck Dreambringer works, if it's working correctly, that we can tell because he got 3 temporary resources, all 3 cards in his hand were all troops and 5 cost or more, because he gave him 3 temporary resources. So out comes Fist of Brigadon. That's going to make Jadim a 17/17, which is all for naught at this point in time. Drew has to attack. Jadim's going to swing anyway, so he's swinging 25 into 9. Battle Beetle does get flight. Flight's an inherent ability on the Battle Beetle. I was thinking it had to do with the gem, so he can still get flight and block. Ferus goes down to 1. So my mistake on the Battle Beetle there. It inherently has a use 2 resources and it gains flight, whereas the gem he had in him gave the plus attack and defense to any card when it comes into play. Unfortunately, unless Josh has another flying troop, he's not going to be able to do much as far as doing damage to blocking Jadim, so... World Titan's going to take the Howling Braid off the board. No resources back, that's going to be game unless I've misstepped again. For good measure, Josh is going to swing the Scroll Titan. Now it's got 6/7 now that he used the champion power. Matt obviously can block with the fist and Both will stay on the board. Matt has no reason to ready Drew by paying 8 health because he can swing with the Flying Jadeem next turn. So here comes the lethal swing. Josh with no resources will have to take 17. Only has 1 health left, and that will be the end of game 1. So that was a quick matchup. As we will see the gentlemen go back to the coin flip here in just a moment as they... Oh, that was rather quick. I didn't know if they were going to sideboard or not. So they're good to go. And we're back to the coin flip. Let's see who wins this one. It looks like it's going to be Josh winning again. Josh decides not to mulligan this time. Matt looks over his hand. 3 shards, Chlorophylla. Got a Eternal Guardian, Great Scroll Titan. And the Glimmerglen Witch. See if he decides he goes ahead and keeps that. I'm guessing he's going to use the Chlorophylla to ramp up and hopefully get the Eternal Guardian out. He probably should have mulliganed. I was thinking the same thing, but if he can get the Chlorophylla to ramp into Eternal Guardian, he's going to be in good shape. The Wild really has no way to get that off the board unless you're playing Turbulence, which destroys target flying troop. So both players keep their 7-card hand. Both players play a Wild Shard for their first turn. And we go back over to Josh for turn 2. Josh plays Puck on turn 2 again. So Matt will draw for turn. He's going to get another Chlorophylla, so this will definitely help him ramp. So we're looking good here. I don't know if Matt thinks he's not looking good or what, but if he can get Chlorophylla into Chlorophylla and into the Eternal Guardian, he's in really good shape. Because I doubt if you're building a wild ramp deck, and I've seen both deck lists, and we'll probably go over them as we do our discussion. It doesn't look like Josh is playing any Turbulence, so if Matt can get the Eternal Guardian out, the game's over. So we'll see how this works. Josh exhausts Puck. He's got 3 troops in his hand that cost 5 or more. As you can tell, his temporary resources went up to 6 from 3. Plays a Chlorophylla. Let's see if he plays back-to-back Chlorophyllas. Nope. Chlorophylla, the Wild Root Dancer. So Matt draws his card this time around. It's going to be another Wild Shard, so you can go Wild Shard into Chlorophylla. He's going to be facing a lot of damage here shortly. So if he can get ramped up quick enough, he needs 2 more turns, it looks like. Okay, so drop his Nether Shard next turn, go to 6. Chlorophylla can go to 8 permanent, but he won't have a temporary to drop the Eternal Guardian, so he needs 2 turns. If he can get 2 turns through here, then he's in good shape. Josh doesn't play anything on his turn. He's got 5 resources available. He's going to go ahead and swing both troops, both Puck and Wild Root Dancer. Matt will face 4 on the chin. 0 resources available to do anything about it, so he's going to go down to 16. And chooses not to play anything on second main phase. So Matt will draw a Howling Brave. Yeah, I was going to guess he's going to go... Crazy Scroll Titan would take the Puck off the board, which isn't a bad play. Unfortunately, that delays Eternal Guardian by 1 more turn. However, that may slow Josh down enough because he can gain the 5 health here and go back up to 21. That's not a bad play at all. I actually agree with that play on second look. He can wait 1 more turn for Eternal Guardian. Alright, so again, Josh not playing much in his turn. He drops a Howling Brave out, which will give him another resource later on. But he's sort of stalling. He's got 4 cards in hand. I'm guessing he had a lot of 6-cost troops because he was going to use Puck to get into it, but now he can't play it. We'll see him play him next turn. In the meantime, Matt draws another shard, drops it for turn, drops Glimmerglen Witch. We'll give him 3 more health there. And a Howling Brave. So Eternal Guardian will drop next turn. He's going to swing his Scroll Titan. Josh really can't block here because he can't afford to lose the Root Dancer or the Howling Brave. He needs the Howling Brave to get into the rest of his troops. So he'll take 4, go down to 16. Matt's sitting at 24. Matt will drop the Eternal Guardian next turn. And again, without Josh playing any turbulence, the only thing he can hope for is to get Jadim out to be able to block the Eternal Guardian. But, again, Matt's not going to swing it, so here comes Fist of Brigadon. So this is going to be a match of dealing blows with no damage here in just a moment, because Josh will be able to block. He's going to take the Root Dancer off the board. He's sort of biding his time here. He's got plenty of time. Here comes the Scroll Titan. That's going to take the Root Dancer off the board. Because as soon as he gets the Eternal Guardian down, anytime Matt swings, one of his troops are going to be blocked by the Fist. And they'll just sit there and just keep trading blows. Nothing's going to happen. Because Fist can't be destroyed because he's invincible, and with Eternal Guardian, none of Matt's troops will actually take damage. So, that being said, he goes ahead and puts the Crazy Scroll Titan down, deals the 4 damage to the Root Dancer. Unfortunately for Matt, Josh had another one back. So he plays his resource, which will activate the Root Dancer. There it goes. So an 8/8 Fist of Brigadon ready to roll in the attack phase. Here it swings. So Matt will take 8, go down to 16. He's really not worried because out comes Eternal Guardian next turn. So out comes Eternal Guardian. That's huge, especially since... and Matt can just go full bore here. He's going to swing and force Josh to block, because none of his troops will take damage now that Eternal Guardian's on the board. And Josh can only block to stave off the damage. Starting next turn, though, Matt can start swinging the Eternal Guardian because Josh doesn't have a flying troop out. So this could be over really quick. Survival of the Fittest. That's a huge card. That will take the Eternal Guardian off the board because he uses that to... What Survival of the Fittest does, it's an action spell that pits one troop against an opposing troop, so he pitted the first Fist of Brigadon against the Eternal Guardian to pull off the board. So that is a second response that Wild has to Eternal Guardian. So Josh isn't quite out of this yet. He's got 7 resources available, 2 cards in hand. He can give any one of his troops +2/+2 permanently now, or sorry, till end of turn, because of his champion power. He's going to give it +2/+2 permanently from the Wild Root Dancer. The Fist will be swinging for 10. Here comes another Fist. That's huge. So he gave the Howling Brave +2/+2. Because you can give the existing Fist on the board the temporary +2/+2 and swing 10. Matt can either block with Howling Brave and let 9 go through, or just let the 10 go through, and he will, going down to 6. So both players at 6 now. Howling Brave not what Matt wanted to see here. He can swing for 4, 8. Yeah, I don't think Matt can actually swing here. He's going to. But without any crush ability, he'll probably lose next turn if Josh blocks appropriately. Block the Scroll Titan with Fist, block another, leave one of the Scroll Titans go through. Block the Glimmering Witch with the Howling Brave. Yep, that's exactly what it did. It actually blocked the second Titan, which I was surprised, with no cards in hand. Because you could have taken the other 4 and left the troop on the board. Nevertheless, Matt's going to take the loss here in the second game. They'll be even 1-1. As Fisk now swing for 8 with Crush, and the only blocker back is the 1-1 Howling Brave. So a quick game 2. As Josh is going to start unloading his hand, put the Battle Beetle out in play. Matt re-emphasizing the fact that he's declared the loss. As Josh gives his second fist, +5/+5, and the Battle Beetle will come in and will swing for 22 here. We like to call that overkill in our world. So Josh will take game 2 as he got the Eternal Guardian off the board, which looked to be Matt's win condition. As we see the new defeat screen there, as wait for game 3, which should start momentarily. So this is going to be the rubber match. Again, stay tuned after this game, as I will invite Matt and Josh both on right afterwards so we can discuss their decks, kind of give you some insight into Threshold Hex Podcast, in case you are new to it, and kind of discuss the wild decks and Hex in general, so please stay tuned for that. Game 3, looks like Matt finally won a coin toss here. He'll probably keep this hand, it's not a bad hand. Got 3 wild shards, a puck, 2 Glimmerglen Witches, and Drew's Colossal Walker. He does keep the hand, it's not a bad starting hand at all. Josh will look at his hand, playing by the name of Ferus in game. Matt's Threshold in game. So Matt will start us off with a wild shard and send it over to Josh, who kept his 7. Matt does not like the hand that he kept, apparently, judging by what he just typed into chat. So out comes Puck Dreambringer. And he will pass turn. Out comes Josh's Puck. So we got matching Pucks on the board. And Matt's going to draw a wild shard for turn, play it, and out will come one of the Witches, I'd imagine. He's going to wait and do that on second main phase. So Josh chooses not to block with his own puck, and out comes the Witch. So Josh down to 18. Matt will gain 3 health and go up to 23. Turn 3 for Josh. He's going to play a second puck. That could be huge because now he can ramp up that much faster. Well, I apologize, he didn't play a second puck, he actually activated a puck. So he's able to get the Scroll Titan out. It's going to take... it's going to take Matt's puck off the board, and he's already said GG. So we'll see if that's actually what's going to happen here. Out comes another Glimmerglen Witch for Matt as he draws another wild shard for turn. So he'll go up to 26 health, plus he'll gain the 5 health from his champion power. So he's going to get a lot of health here, at least stave off a couple different turns here. He's up to 31 health. Once he gets Drews down, he can be formidable, but with Josh having a puck on the board, we knew he had 3 troops larger than 5. So he has 2 troops larger than 5. He can exhaust puck and go up to 6 now. So if he does that, as he drops his wild shard for turn, he's got 4 actual resources in play. We know because when he exhausted puck last time, he gained 3 temporary resources that he had 3 troops larger than 5. That's how puck works. He played Scroll Titan, which is one of those troops, so he has at least 2 depending on what he drew. For turn. 5 cards in hand. Matt wondering what's going to go on next. Josh looking over his hand. Trying to figure out how he's going to play this. Either that or he has to step away for just a moment. Either way, we'll figure it out. He decides to exhaust Puck. That'll bring up to 7. So he has 3 of those 5 cards are 5 cost troops or more. Or troops that cost 5 or more. Brings out the Battle Beetle. That's going to give the Scroll Titan +5/+5, making it 9/10. Doesn't have Crush though, so Matt can actually block if he really wanted to. And stave off all 9 damage. It's a temporary fix though. Battle Beetle is going to get flight every time it swings though, so unless Matt gets a flying troop out there, we will see the Battle Beetle swing for 7 next turn flying more than likely. Matt draws Eternal Guardian. He's going to need a couple more turns to get there though, or draw Chlorophilia. Out comes Drew's Colossal Walker. And Matt chooses not to swing here. Passes his turn back over to Josh, who has 4 cards in hand. We'll draw to a 5th. Champion Power lit up, meaning he can give any one of his troops +2/+2 till end of turn. Drops a Wild Shard going to 5. 4 more cards in hand. So he does give the Battle Beetle flight. Let's see if he goes and gives it the +2/+2 as well. Would not be a bad idea. You can only use it once per turn though. So even if he did have enough charge to use it twice, he couldn't give it +4/+4. If I can easily see it, yep, there he goes. So he'll be swinging 7. Obviously, Josh isn't going to swing the Scroll Titan, because right now, Matt can block with Drew's Colossal Walker. It can block until it swings for the first time. When it swings for the first time, it doesn't ready unless you pay 8 health. So Matt will take the 7 flying, because he has no flying blockers, and go down to 24. Josh is still at 18. Here comes the Chlorophilia that Matt needed. Down goes the Shard, plays Chlorophilia. So next turn, Matt can get the Eternal Guardian out. The question is, does Josh have the Survival of the Fittest back? Helped him get the Eternal Guardian off the board last time. In the meantime, he's going to take 8 on the chin from the Colossal Walker. We'll see if Matt is going to go ahead and ready Colossal Walker, spend 8 health, allowing him to block the Scroll Titan. That'll bring him down to 16. He's going to take 5 flying. I probably would not, because he's only going to take 4 more from the Scroll Titan, as opposed to the 8 damage. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to exhaust it, if I'm going to ready him yet. If you ready him, you go down to 16. If you don't ready him, you take 4 more on the chin, and you only go down 4 additional health. Interesting, he does ready him, so he goes down to 16. That doesn't allow... I'm sorry, that forces Josh to keep 2 resources back to make the Battle Beetle fly. Otherwise, he can't swing. However, with Puck Dreambringer, it's not a foregone conclusion that he can't still play a large troop and make the Battle Beetle fly. So here comes a Shard going to 6 resources, 4 cards in hand. If I recall by my count, I believe he has 2 more troops in hand that cost 5 or more, so he can exhaust Puck and go to 8, which will allow him to play a 6 cost troop and make the Battle Beetle flying. There goes Puck. Yep, there he goes up to 8. And here comes your 6 cost troop, your Fist of Brigadon. So he's still going to be able to make Battle Beetle fly. And now he can actually block Drew's Colossal Walker with the Fist because the Fist won't die. That's a huge play. For those of you following along at home, that's why Puck is a good card for offensive ability, but if you're the opponent, it actually gives you information about the opponent's hand. What you can do that information is up to what you have in your hand. However, it's important to keep track of what he has in his hand as far as how many 5+ costing troops in his hand. So Matt's going to choose to swing first. Obviously, He's going to block with Fist. Neither will do anything. Second main phase, Matt's going to put the Eternal Guardian out. This is large. So unless Josh has any way to get that off the board, we're going to have pretty much a stalemate for a few more turns. Because Josh can keep blocking Drew with Fist of Brigadon. The issue is, Drew will not ready without Matt playing 8 health. The outcome 2 Root Dancers. Does Josh have another Wild Shard hand? He does, so he's going to be able to give +4/+4 to somebody. The interesting thing is, and I'll be interested, and this is me not knowing the rules as well as I probably should, with Eternal Guardian being out there, I don't believe that... Oh, he's going to give the Battle Beetle Flight. So the Battle Beetle will still be able to swing for 9. That's still... I had neglected to remember... Hey, Aaron, Aaron Squire just joined the chat here, so... Welcome, Aaron Squire, appreciate you joining in. I neglected to remember that the Battle Beetle could fly, and because of that, the 9 damage will still attempt to go through. The issue is with the Eternal Guardian on the board, Matt's not going to take any damage. So, Josh is just exhausting resources for no reason. Eternal Guardian reads that all other troops and all other troops you control do not take damage. Or something along those lines. I can give you the exact language. The exact language is prevent all damage that would be dealt to you and other troops you control. So, Josh can make his troops flying all day long. What that's done, though, is exhausted his troops and allowed Matt to spend 8 more health to ready Drew's Colossal Walker. So damage is going to go through. Flying damage from Eternal Guardian. And the crush damage from Drew's Colossal Walker. This could be enough to win. You have to block the 2 there. 4 there. So 4 will go through and 5 go through. It's not going to be enough to win. It's going to leave Matt with 1 health. Or sorry, Josh with 1 health. So if Ferus, or Josh as we know him to be, from Threshold Podcast, draws the Survival of the Fittest or anything like that to get the Eternal Guardian off the board, that will be game over for Matt. He was 1 shy. Alright, we know because when exhausted puck, 2 more resources went into the pool there, that both cards in Josh's hand right now are troops that cost 5 or more. Here comes Wrathwood Colossus. Doesn't do much good. It does for this turn because it allows him to gain 9 health. However, he can't do any damage to Matt, so Josh is on a 2-turn clock here. Out of resources, Josh can't make the Battle Beetle fly. Here comes Shadim. That will all but seal the deal for Matt. 2 flying troops on board. Quite interested to see why Matt didn't swing Eternal Guardian there. Josh had no resources available to cast any combat tricks. Not to mention, we know in his hand from when he exhausted puck that the 1 card in the hand he had was a troop. So maybe a small misstep there by Matt. I don't think it's going to come back to bite him at this point in time, but maybe a small misstep. Because what's going to happen now is Josh can actually have the Battle Beetle fly. And be able to block Jadim or Eternal Guardian. So Eternal Guardian won't swing. Jadim can swing. Unless Matt gets something to pump up Jadim, it's not going to do him any good. So right now we're at a stalemate. Alright, Puck is exhausted. Out comes Fist of Brigadon. We knew that that's the 1 troop he had in his hand that cost 5 or more. Again, doesn't do any good while Eternal Guardian is still on the board. So Matt's on semi-clock here. Got to get the damage through. Fist of Brigadon is a huge card. That makes Jadim 11-11. So even if Josh blocks here, that's going to kill the Battle Beetle. So Matt will no doubtly swing. Josh has to block. That would have been lethal damage. So down will go Battle Beetle. Here comes the block. So Battle Beetle's down. And Matt out of cards will pass turn back over. There go both Fist of Brigadons with... Matt's going to block anyway, just in case Josh has any combat tricks. That would not be lethal damage in the event that there's some reason that Josh can get Eternal Guardian off the board. Matt will go down to 1 health. I want to also welcome Mythosirus. Apologize if I mispronounced your name. For joining the channel as well. I didn't see you pop in there. Stay tuned for just after this match, which should be momentarily, as I'll bring in Matt and Josh to discuss the game, discuss the match, discuss special Hex Podcast. So here comes the lethal damage swing by Matt. And with no way to block, there we go. So Matt will take game 3, and that is the end of the best of 3 series fight to the death match. So let me go ahead and get things set up to bring in both Josh and Matt to the Shardcast. See if we can't bring them aboard. We'll need them to... They're both doing a live stream now, so we gotta wait for them to finish their stream real quick and transfer over in order to borrow the webcam. So bear with us just a moment as we get them ready to roll. Alright, so we got Matt on board.
Oh,
welcome, Matt.
Yes, I am here.
You are here.
Victor. I crushed him.
Right?
Like a tiny ant in these huge hands. These hands.
Nice. I had a little technical difficulty with my setup on the webcams real quick. So as we're waiting for Josh to join us, I'm going to correct what we see on the screen here. It would be
not good then if I.
I could still. We could see your hands. Don't worry about that. We could see that.
Oh, okay.
We just want to make sure we could see that. I'm trying to make sure we get the proper ratio on screen here.
Well, I should always be, because I was the victor, so there should be like a larger video of me.
We'll see what. I agree, but at the same
As
time,
I
that wouldn't be nice. We try to be nice on this channel here.
I crush him. Ukraine not weak.
As we welcome Josh into the program, as he's getting his cams coming up here, just a moment.
It's trying to.
It's trying to load.
It's thinking about it.
Yep.
It's spinning.
We can sort of hear Josh.
Well, yeah, we can hear Josh, but the video.
The video is still
spinning.
coming in.
Yeah, can you call me back? The video is busted.
Yeah, there we go. Let's call him back.
Boop, boop, boop. Beep, beep, boop.
There we go.
There we go. So video coming.
I can safely say those are the worst draws I've ever had in that deck. That was fortunate. Like, I'm not even joking.
Hey, mine.
The
mine
only
weren't that
ramp
good
I
either.
got in both games were puck. Really?
All right, so let me get my other screen up here.
I think you played a chlorophylla in there.
So,
I played
had
one
some
chlorophylla
Houndberries.
on like turn 8. Yes.
So
I didn't get chlorophylla at the start though when it's useful.
All right, so we've got a couple things already in the chat here from the stream. Aaron Squire, of course, is already in here. A big fan of everybody's show, and we're a fan of his. Asking if Matt is Rock Giant from the Neverending Story.
These strong heads.
But then, of course, Shopma says you sound like Vladimir Putin, so we'll see how you go from there. So.
Oh, okay.
All right, so.
But
let's start by first introducing both Josh and Matt to the program and say these are, I like to call them friends of mine by proxy of just listening to them every freaking Monday for the last 30 weeks. But they are co-hosts of Threshold Hex Podcast. Yeah. So do you guys want to give a little brief synopsis here for those people who may not be tuning in yet to Threshold?
Josh can do that. I've already.
You've done
I'm
it
a recurring
once.
character.
Yes,
now
you've done it once. Josh, we'll go ahead and let you chime in.
So.
Okay. Threshold Podcast. It's a podcast we made to talk about Hex. It is, as far as I know, it was the very first Hex podcast. And I don't know. It's 4 of us, and we just kind of talk about the news each week, and then we bring on decks that we're playing to try and get other people to try them and just kind of help people have fun. That's our goal.
Excellent. So
I don't know, how does that compare, Matt? Was that better than your description?
I probably would have mentioned, we cover pretty much the majority of stuff that's happening in Hex. I mean, not just, we talk about the patch. We talk about, what's going on in the community, such as like tournaments and stuff, maybe forums and maybe what's happening in Reddit, the discussions that are going on there. And we do a little card of the week for everybody, give our views on that. We cover a lot of things here,
I think it's safe to say that. Yeah, it's safe to say that Matt is as much better at describing our show as he is at building decks and destroying me in game.
I'm just from.
I have to say,
I'm thinking that if Josh played his Inspire deck against your Wild deck, he might have had a better chance. The one he's been touting for 2 weeks now.
I think if I played my Wild deck again against your deck, I would have a better chance. That is the worst it's ever done. I am embarrassed.
We'll have to do a rematch with the Eye of Creation and see how that turns out.
Yeah, I mean that may actually make things quite different. One thing I was noticing, and when you guys play this back and listen to it, I try not to dog Matt as much as I did last time he was on my show, because I rode Matt pretty hard last time he was on the show. But
I was pretty bad in that game. I got to tell you that on that Shardcast, my play style was atrocious.
You did give me a chance to educate the viewers though, because Puck Dreambringer.
This is what you don't want to do.
Well, no. What I was going to say is this time around, Puck Dreambringer is a relatively new card, but what it actually does, if you're paying enough attention, is give you information about your opponent's hand. Because when Josh would sit there and exhaust Puck, you would know exactly how many 5+ cost troops he had in his hand. So at any given time, you knew very well what he was holding. You didn't know which troops, but you knew he didn't have survival in his hand. So it kind of gave us an opportunity to educate the viewers on kind of a more advanced tactic, if you will. So
there was like the one time when he attacked he gave his battle beetle flying 9/9 after I had already played the Eternal Guardian. I was like, hey, you should have left that back, man.
Yeah, you could have left that back.
There was like. So if you watch my stream, you'll hear me kill myself about 3 times. Because on the 3rd game, there were at least 3 major misplays. And this is honestly why I don't live stream. Because I live streamed this game because I wasn't even paying attention. At one point, I ended my turn without realizing it. Because I was talking with someone in the chat channel looking at my other screen. And then I go to click on my... I was going to play a Wild Root Dancer. And I go to click on him, and I'm like, oh, it's already Matt's turn. Oh, I wasn't even looking. I just mindedly, I played so poorly in the 3rd game. It's embarrassing.
Well, at least you admit to it and don't blame it on the space bar. You could have blamed it on the space bar. So I was trying to type in the space bar, went to instep.
No, I'm sure I was just clicking through.
And I just want to point out, Josh is over there like, guys, I made a lot of play mistakes. I had a bum internet connection.
My dog was gnawing on my leg.
Matt, let me ask you a question real fast. How many Jadems did you play or draw in all 3 games?
2, I guess.
2. Game 1 and Game 3.
2? Oh, really? Yeah, I drew 0 in those games. You know the most powerful card in the entire deck? Yeah.
To Matt's defense, on the same turn you didn't play your Wild Root Dancer, And no, the same turn you swung your 9/9 Battle Beetle for naught. The next turn, Matt did not swing his 5/5 Eternal Guardian into no flying blockers, and you had no resources back. I'm like, okay, let's just prolong the game here. I don't know, because Josh had.
I swung with the 5/5 Eternal and also
No, the turn before
the
that.
Crusher guy, I think.
No, the turn before that.
Oh, the turn before that.
Yeah. I was like, I guess he's trying to feel sorry for Josh because Josh can't play any cards, but he didn't swing his 5/5 flyer into him. I was sitting there at the same token. I'm like, I'm not.
So thank you for that, Matt.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
I mean, Matt's a nice guy.
What a
he
nice
said
guy.
Oh.
he said he pumped up a 9/9 flyer to swing for nothing.
So I've got to say, Matt,
I
want your opinion on this.
Uh-huh.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, I really thought you were going to possibly like pump up your Battle Beetle when I had the 11. I think you had what it was you had at first. I think the first game when I had 11/11 Jadam, you had Crazed Squirrel Titan, and you dropped a Battle Beetle, and you gave +5/+5 to the Crazed Squirrel Titan. And I think at that point, your champion had the +2/+2. I really expected you to go, okay, I'll pump up my Crazed Squirrel Titan to be 11/12, and I'll survival your guy. And I was like really worried that was going to happen.
That would have been a huge play. I actually was expecting
No.
to put the +2/+2 on him too, but alas, it did not happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
that's
I mean,
probably
there's
like
no
the big
reason.
major
I mean,
difference.
why would I do that? Because if I swing, you just let it go through. You have Eternal Guardian. It's not going to deal damage anyways.
Yeah, if you have survival
Oh
fitness,
no, this was in the
this
first
was the
game.
first game before the Eternal Guardian hit the board.
Oh,
this
I'm
was the
sorry.
very first
Okay.
game.
Now,
All right, let's just say I was terrible in all the
like-
games. How about that?
so Josh is playing the Matt
No,
card
no.
from the first Shardcast, so saying I was terrible and this is not how I normally play. Which is fine. That just means I have to have both of you on it again in another Shardcast, so you guys can play your primo decks and your A game.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm not going to steal your thunder.
So, Matt, I want your guys' opinion on Fist of Brigadon, because that card has been awesome in this deck for me before today.
Well-
Today, it was a dead card in all 3 games because I couldn't get 6 Threshold.
Yeah, I realized that once you tapped your puck and you played like a Wild Root Dancer and a Clophilia, I think, and I was like, yeah, he's got a
Yeah.
fist in there because you never played any.
I
You
had
never
2
played
fists in
a
my
5 or
hand.
greater casting costs beyond that point.
Yeah.
And I was like, he must be having to get that 6th threshold for the fist.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I only run 2
yeah,
because I don't like. I think
Yeah,
they're dead if you can't get those.
I'm thinking, and I was quite interested in see Matt you playing Drew's Colossal Walker because that's a decent card, but I don't think it would fit in Josh's deck because Josh isn't playing. What's his fifth? The champion.
If he was
playing
the champion,
the life
Running
gain-
Deer.
Running Deer. If he's playing Running Deer, it makes sense. But without the life gain in
Yeah.
Josh's deck, he can't play Drew. So
Yeah.
I mean, he has to have some form of crushed creature on the board. So Fist isn't a bad card, but I don't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's-
because with
That's
the
why I'm playing
crush
Drews.
out there, I'm. What?
I think both of you were trying
I
to
think
talk at the
Matt-
same time.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll
So yeah,
talk.
so I don't know. Like this deck normally,
Josh talks.
it relies.
And those of you who don't turn in Threshold Decks podcast, that's what you get every
Okay.
Tuesday or every Monday when it goes
This
live.
is weird because
Alright,
Matt is like
Josh.
delayed by like 5 seconds. His video is not lined up with his
Really?
audio at all. I can't. Yeah.
Really? Because I've got both of you on dead on audio and video right now. Do you want me to try to get Matt to call back in?
Yeah, I don't know, cause yeah, his video's like. Oh, sorry, his video's like 5 seconds ahead of his audio because I'm hearing him talk and then nothing happens and then his voice comes through. I see you bobbing and weaving.
All right. So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
No, when you're saying 1, you had 3 fingers up.
it's like a 2-second delay.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well,
All right. Well,
I'm not going to steal you guys'
I-
thunder from your podcast because I know you guys just recorded last night. But I'm going to sort of compare your two decks here just very briefly because I know you guys were wondering. Now, the one thing we didn't see from Okay, we're getting feedback from the channel that it seems that it's lined up in the channel, so it's got to be something between your feed, Josh, and bringing in Skype or something, because it's okay right now in the feed.
Okay.
But going back to Matt's deck, we didn't see Argus, which was I was kind of hoping to see that. We didn't see Argus in all 3 games, and you got 2 Arguses in your deck. It looks like. So
yeah, I have 2 Arguses.
It's interesting in the fact that you've kind of gone all in with these big giant creatures, which is what Puck's used for. But at the same time, if you get stuck with not drawing a Chlorophylla, you may be in trouble getting enough threshold to be able to do it. So, what are
I think I would like for my deck, I like the Druze in there because I'm also playing the Glimmerglen Witch. Also, I'm probably going to take out the Arguses and probably put in more of the Colossuses, the Wrathwood Colossuses. And I'll probably put in another Battle Beetle because I'm only playing 3 right now. So and that's another difference between mine and Josh's deck. Josh is playing the plus attack plus defense gem, and I'm playing the Spell Shield gem.
How dare you play the Spell Shield gem? As much crap as you've given Spell Shield in the last 30 weeks. How dare you get the Spell Shield gem?
I think that Spell Shield gem is really good against control right now, and that was my main focus is against control. I'm trying to build in a little bit of a meta against Ruby aggro when I face it with the life gain and the Glimmerglens, and also control with all the Spell Shield with fists, and also the Spell Shield for the Battle Beetles.
Okay. Now, Josh, looking over your deck, and obviously you had some bad draws there, and we're going to take your word for that at this point in time. We're going to let you off the hook on that. But that being said, is there anything after looking at Matt's deck and playing against it that you might change in your deck?
Yeah, not really related to Matt's deck. I mean, if I was trying to make the best deck, I would obviously throw Eternal Guardians in because it's the most overpowered card in the game. Now that Zentoth's Inquisitor is out, Eternal Guardian should be in every late game deck like this, but I just don't like it. So I would play that card. What I am going to do, I'm dropping out 2 Fists of Brigadon.
Okay.
And definitely going to throw in 1 more Jadem. I was running 3 just because you never want to override it with Unique. But going 3 games without drawing 1 is just GG.
Yeah, right.
So I guess I have to have 4, which is unfortunate. I don't want to play 4, but I think I have to. So I'm going to take out 2 of the Fist of Brigadons. I'm going to take out the Wild Root Dancers just because once I'm able to throw Eye of Creation in, I don't think this deck needs a 3-drop. Other than Chlorophylla, because I threw Wild Root Dancers in there, even though they aren't a good fit for this deck, because I thought I needed some early minions. But I think with Puck and Eye of Creation, I'm just gonna focus on put more ramp in, and only big creatures, and just kind of go all out. Yeah, so that's it. Maybe throw another Survival of the Fittest in. I have 3 in there, I think, right now. And I think having 4 of those would be awesome.
Okay. Now, question. You brought up Fist of Brigadon. You guys have both brought that up. Now, with I'm trying to get the name of that card, Solitary Exile coming out, which those of us who don't play Control very often are absolutely loving this card. That's your Oblivion Ring for those Magic players out there. Will that change the way people play with Fist of Brigadon now? Because that immediately, that's your quick answer for that for 3 resources. Is that going to change that now? Do we see a shift in Wild?
I don't. Maybe, but you're not going to quit playing Fist, right? It's just something you'll have to deal with. So I don't. You maybe. I don't know. I don't think they have anything in there yet for Wild that has Destroy a constant, do they? It's like a troop attached to a troop.
Yeah, they do. They have the equivalent of Naturalize.
Nature Reigns is the one.
Nature Reigns.
Sorry. Yeah, Nature Reigns will do that.
But they don't have anything that's like when it comes into like a troop that when it comes into play it destroys a constant.
No, all they've got
Because
right
I know
now.
they have one for artifact right now.
Yeah, the only thing I know
They have
they've
an
got.
imp something.
Yeah, they've got the. Let's see, artifact. I know they've got the.
Imp something. It's a 2/2 for 3.
Imp 2/2 for
But
3.
I would like to
Yeah,
see
to
a
me-
troop.
Yeah, because all I'm pulling up in Wild as far as artifact goes is Nature Reigns at this point.
All right, so for me,
The
that
imp-
doesn't
the-
change how I'm going to play Fist, because Fist isn't the target I'm worried about them using Solitary Exile on. I'm more worried about them using that on Jadem or Puck, where either one of those is just like, that's going to ruin your day. Whereas if they take Fist, that's fine, because you have all the other tools to play other cards, to get a new Fist in, or get a Battle Beater, or get a Wrathwood Colossus. But if they take out Jadem or Puck, that's a huge momentum hit.
Yeah, the only reason I brought up the Solitary Exile with Fist is because White already has an answer for Jadem. Repel is the easiest answer for Jadem in the deck at that point in time.
Yeah.
If you're playing White, now we can
Well,
go different colors, but if I'm playing it's a mono wild
Diamond-
deck and I'm playing a Diamond, I'm holding Repel specifically for Jadem.
Well, Diamond also already had an answer for Fist with Inner Conflict. So, I mean, I think you'll see definitely more. You're going to definitely see more control come out of this patch because of I talked about it on Threshold, because of Angel of Hope and Solitary Exile.
Mhm.
I mean, those two cards right there are going to be great for control because, you'll draw into your Angel of Hope. You'll get to play it for free, keep your resources up so you can counter magic. You can, do all kinds of other things with your open resources while dropping a 4/4 flyer Steadfast.
Yeah, I mean,
that's just going to be great for white control.
your Imp, by the way, Matt, is a Ruby card. 2/2 Ruby troop.
Yeah, he's a 2/2.
Yeah, he's a Ruby troop.
2/2 for 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Because that's what I mean. That's what Ruby's known for, right? Artifact destruction, and then usually Wild will be known for constant destruction,
Right.
and also possibly artifact destruction together.
Yep. All right. Well, you guys have anything else to add about
What do we take away with this, Josh?
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you take away from the fight to the death match?
Well, I'm curious, Matt, actually, if you would consider why you're not considering putting Survival of the Fittest in your deck.
I think it's a great card. Like, I just don't. I'm probably going to end up cutting the Glimmerglen Witches, and I'm probably am going to do just like you and probably focus more on ramp, and probably put in more bigger creatures, because I don't want to. That's when I look at all those cards, that's one less card I get advantage of with Puck. That's like, I really want to get the most out of Puck when I can drop them on turn 2, and then turn 3 I want to be able to drop stuff. So I played against the AI the other night, and I was actually able to get a turn 3 Wrathwood Colossus. So I was like super enthusiastic.
God.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's
man,
solid.
If I could get
Wait,
that,
how does
like,
that work exactly? Did you chlorophyll
you just
too,
go,
or is that just off Puck?
It's just off Puck.
Yeah,
because
if you go
you can
turn 1 Wild, turn 2 Puck, and then turn 3, as long as
And
you've
then-
got 6 other troops in your hand that are +5
Yeah.
or more, that's nuts.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it was pretty crazy. I was like, man, if I could only, I lived the dream. If only I could do this like all the time.
If you could see a virtual
Yeah.
table flip, that would happen on the other side of the table if you put a Wrathwood Colossus on turn 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing I fear when I play this deck is obviously extinction. Like, that's what you don't want to see happen, because you've built your deck all around getting Puck out turn 2, some big creature turn 3, and if they're on the play, they get to drop in response to your big giant creature an extinction and wipe out Puck and that big guy, and you're like set back. So that's why I like having the Chlorophilia in there as well, to try to help you ramp in case something happens to Puck. Also, the Howling Brave, it helps you get the thresholds and stuff like that. So
We got
Because the whole time, I gotta say, the whole time I was playing and losing to your Eternal Guardian, And every single turn I was like, I need to draw survival of the fittest. If I draw
Yeah.
survival of the fittest, I'm in this game. If not, what I was thinking was, if someone plays Eternal Guardian, you lose, right? Because you don't have an answer to it. You have no way of killing it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, other than
Crazy Scroll Titan can kill it.
putting
depending
out my
on
own flyer.
No, that's a 4/5. That's not gonna kill it either. Yeah, Crazy Scroll Titan wouldn't kill
about
it.
the only thing I can do is put out my own flyer and just hang back. I mean, that's all I can do.
Yeah, but as
I
long as
mean,
they
But
don't
they
swing
can
it.
attack with everything else. They
Yeah.
would never attack with their Eternal Guardian. They'd have to make a
Right.
mistake.
Right. I would have to.
Okay.
What do I have in my deck?
4 Howling Braves, 4
pretty much.
Pucks, 4 Witches, 4 Jadeems, 3 Drews, 3 Battle Beetles, 2 Crazy Scroll Titans, 2 Fists, 2 Eternal Guardian, 2 Argus, and 2 Wrathwood Colossus, and 4 Chloros.
Arguses.
Argus would do it. Argus and
Argus-
Boyd
Argus
right
would take
off.
care of it.
Yeah.
Zubrin jumped into our channel. Welcome, Zubrin. And he
I was
said,
going to cut those. So
he said, yeah, right. He said, so that's what Matt looks like. I wanted to put a face with that southern accent. So yeah, you guys are on cam now. You guys
Hi,
are all audio all the time. So nobody really knows
are.
what you guys look like. So we get to put some faces with the voices. So I will say that, like Zubrin, I had no clue what Matt looked like when you first came on my show last time. I was like, hey, how's it going? Now, Josh, of course, you have
I
your
really,
your Twitter icon is close enough to your likeness there. So
Yeah. The guy that
I
drew
really
that
should,
is,
get,
I'm
like,
amazed at how close he
straw.
actually got that.
yeah. What were you gonna say, Matt?
yeah, I should.
Well,
I was going to say I
If
should
it-
really get like some straw that I can keep hanging out of my mouth, and maybe a hat or something, so I can live the southern lifestyle. Overalls. I need to start wearing overalls.
So let me just for those out there in the channel and watching this later who don't really follow the show as closely as maybe I do, and I'm going to call myself a huge fan of the show, is we have one in California, we have one in South Dakota, we have one in, where are you at, Matt? You're in the South.
I'm in Arkansas. Little Rock.
Arkansas, and then who am I missing?
Jeff
Jeff.
is also in California.
That's
San
also-
Francisco,
San Francisco?
Jeff.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we've got one Northern California, one Southern California. So we're all over the country here. So this is why
In every time zone.
I was going to say
Almost.
every time zone almost at this point in time. This is why the audio thing works well for you guys. But that being said, I know Matt, you covered this when I had you on last time. How did you guys even start this? I mean, you guys are in 4 different locations. How did this threshold thing even come about?
Hey,
Matt-
he addressed it to you, Matt. Don't point
No,
at
Matt.
me.
Matt did
He
last.
specifically
Well,
said Matt.
No, Matt covered it last time.
I answered it last time.
Matt covered it last time.
Yeah.
So Josh, you're up to the plate again.
All right. Well, I'll give you a better, less accurate story. So, because we're at the 4 corners of the country, we
Dragons
decided
came
to
out.
meet at the very middle of the country. We felt like that would be an appropriate meeting place. So it's somewhere actually like, I think it was a little west of the Missouri, like the western Missouri border, and whatever state is next to Missouri. And we ended up there.
I think it's Oklahoma for those of you
Actually,
following
no.
at home.
So my first story about this podcast is I was at an E3 because Jeff works for NVIDIA and I work, or at the time I worked for PC Gamer. So
Okay.
we were both at parties at E3 afterwards. So it might have been the NVIDIA party, it might have been theirs, or it was I'm sorry, it was Wargaming, those crazy Belarusians. And we were at the party, and it was super noisy. They had the loudest band I've ever heard, kind of obnoxious. But we were passing in the hallway, and we only got to talk for like 2 minutes, and it's the first time we'd ever met in person. And we were talking for like 2 minutes, and then Jeff was like, "Oh man, you're like following Hex or something, right?" I was like, "Yeah." I was just talking with my buddy. I think I was talking with Eric first about doing a podcast about it. I was like, "Yeah, I'm talking with my buddy about doing a podcast." He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna do a podcast too." He's like, "We should team up." I was like, "All right." And then he had to run off and go do whatever it is he does. But yeah, that's how the podcast was birthed in my experience. And yes, birth is a terrible
I come
word
up with
to
the
use
idea
for
all
anything.
on my own.
and Matt's going to take
Come
full
up with
credit
the
for
idea
this.
on my own.
Matt was nowhere to be heard in Josh's
Right.
story, but he came up with all of it on his own.
Yeah, look. All right. Obviously, the guy telling the story is going to tell it, in
All right,
his favor.
of course.
So
He can't win the
He's not
match. He's
gonna
got to
tell
win
you
the
full
story.
truth.
Okay.
He doesn't win the match.
So
He's got to win the story.
Matt worked into this because we got on Skype to record the
Worked
first
into-
episode,
I
us three, and then I
Squeamed my way in.
accidentally called Matt into the call, and it's one of those situations, once he's in the call, it's too awkward. Like, you can't tell him, "Oh, I didn't mean to call you." So I was just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Matt, we're doing this show. I'm glad you're here, buddy. You know something about podcasts, right?" And then he proceeded to beat me in every Hex deck we ever played.
And as Paul Harvey says, that is the rest of the story.
Mhm.
Well, and as we are getting late here on the eastern seaboard here, well, I'm not in the eastern seaboard.
Yeah.
I don't know why I said that. I'm in freaking Kentucky. I'm not even on the seaboard. I'm landlocked. Do we have any questions from those who are tuning in live? We have, it looks about 7 or 8 people on the channel here. Do we have any questions for the Threshold crew here about either their show or the match we just saw? Anything you'd like to have addressed before we adjourn for the evening? And while the 7-second delay for Twitch goes through, I wanted to thank each of you for coming onto the show. I know that we had to get some logistics taken care of first, but I like I said at the beginning of the show before you guys came on, it's definitely an honor to host the fight at the what do we even call this? I've been called the same thing the entire time, but the thought just escapes me. The fight to the death match. That's what it's called. The fight to the death. Yes. So I appreciate you guys.
I have a question for you, Frodes.
Yes, go ahead.
Do you think you'll want to start doing some live streaming or just some commentary on the draft scene or the sealed scene?
That is ideally yes. I mean, I have this idea that I wanted to call Shardcast shadowing. And what I would do is I would actually follow a particular player through their entire tournament, whether it be sealed or draft, and almost like we did the Inside the Shards thing with your tournament before, and just have them on and sort of as I commentate their games, they kind of chime in and say, "This is what I was looking for when I drafted this card. This is what I was looking for when I built this deck together."
Yeah.
That sort of thing. The issue I run into is, unfortunately, what drew me to the game in the first place is I don't have enough time to segment, 2-3 hours at a time to line that up. I mean, logistically, it'd be difficult for me to do.
Well,
on top of
it really, honestly, a draft now, the max time on it's probably like 30 seconds. So, 30 minutes to do a whole draft. So, you could probably do like a 45-minute show if you wanted to.
Yeah,
possibly paid, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I just have to find the right person who wants to hop on and do it, maybe. Just saying, maybe we could alternate some Threshold people doing some drafting, maybe. Since we had...
Yeah, to get...
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Try to get in some Hex TCG Pro people, Errant Squire, all these community people that are going to be doing... drafting is going to be rampant right now. I can't imagine for the next month not, tuning into somebody drafting. So...
Okay, so what's your favorite card from the new patch? Chalkmal asks. Favorite card from the new patch?
Eye of Creation.
Eye of Creation. Josh?
Hold on, I gotta look up the cards again. We just did it yesterday, but
Max time on draft is 5 hours, 30 minutes per game, 3 games per round. Right now it's a bad time to cast sealed and draft. Hopefully next patch makes it easier.
Well, I wouldn't cast the whole draft. I would just cast just what I do is I just cast just the drafting part of it, and then ask them how they, why they pick certain cards, and then ask them what their final record was after they built their deck.
Yeah, we could do that, and that's something to look for now. With what we're sitting in. Ideally, obviously, when they bring in the observe feature, whatever they're going to call it, to the game, that's where I hope to ramp up tremendously and do more live casting. The issue is being able to synchronize my schedule with someone else out there in the community, be able to do it at the same time. That's what it comes down to. I know.
I really want to see.
Okay, I got my favorite card.
Shoot.
Oh, go ahead, Josh.
Angel of Dawn.
Angel of Dawn.
This card is crazy. So good. That ability just blows my mind.
can I express my hate before I'm on your guys' podcast next week? Oh, speaking of which, that's a good segue in there. I will be a guest on Threshold Podcast when they record on Thursday for episode 32. But now I'll express my hate for that card, and I have one reason to hate that. I was not huge on the Magic scene, but while I was on the Magic scene, there was this wonderful ability, and note my sarcasm, called Miracle, which I absolutely hated. And that at least had a cost to it. This is a Miracle ability for zero cost, is what this is. And that's what
that's extremely splashable.
Yeah, that's like, really, who's not going to play that card? I mean, I'm thinking how I can fit into my Aspire deck at this point in time. Let's go ahead and drop that sucker with speed and Swift Strike. Boom, go for it. Zero cost. Have fun.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, you get your sword trainer involved in all that too?
Yeah, you could, because it gets a 5 cost.
Yep.
It doesn't drop the cost. You get to play it for free. In fact, Chalkmaw chimes in. Will fit in well with your Inspired deck? Yes, will fit in quite well.
Yeah.
I just got to figure out what to take out now, though. I'm still not in love with Mancubus, though, Josh. Still not doing it. Not a fan yet.
It's only good if you go all in. If you're not running a stat-only inspired deck, then do not play it.
Yeah. See, I like having the speed and the Swift Strike in there. Playing the
I like the speed for the Royal Falconer.
The Royal Falconer coming in with
the
Falcons having speed and all that stuff is just, it's huge.
Too bad they don't come in with that buff, eh, guys?
I can't believe it. Is it? Maybe it's fixed this patch. I haven't played it since.
It wasn't in the notes, so if they fixed it, they didn't put the notes. Because I actually looked for it this time.
It did not be the first time.
Yeah. Now, what I think I recall seeing is they fixed the zombies, though, which was another one of my decks. I had zombies and Inspire. I was bringing zombies in with speed and Swift Strike, because they're 3 cost too, and I'd have just bring the zombies in, keep going. So, but that's that. Grum's in here, and he hasn't said a word yet. I want to see if I can get him to talk for a minute. Is Falcon fixed? Asked Chalkmaw. No, not the buff part is not fixed. So that's what we're all waiting on. Unfortunately, Josh gives sad face. I'll give sad face too, because we're waiting that, unfortunately, because that's what makes our deck sing. But
yeah, it's like I'm playing Royal Falconer in that deck because someday it will be the right card to play in that deck.
Well, I mean,
even though right now it's totally not.
If you go back like 4 patches ago when it worked, it was an awesome card. I loved that card. So, but yeah. Drum says sorry he's in a draft picking card. So that's okay, Drum. We just appreciate you being in here and listening along with us. We know that that if you had any questions, you would ask. So, but I think that being said, we're running up on about the midnight hour here on the Eastern time. So that being said, I want to go ahead and again give thanks to Josh and Matt for joining me here on Shardcast. It's been displaying on your screen the entire time we've been talking, but it is thresholdpodcast.com. Make sure you visit their website. I'll have links below the video for those of you who aren't viewing live as well as links to Josh and Matt's Twitch and Twitter. Make sure you follow them there. They do the recordings on Thursdays to try to get your patch notes and whatnot, like they had said, as well as meaningless banter of the first 10 minutes of every podcast, which is always exciting to look forward to. But they try to get that up every Monday or Tuesday morning, so if you're on your way to work or at work and supposed to be doing work, you can listen to them and enjoy that. Also, make sure, if you are listening to them, to give them feedback, emails, tweet at them, give them ratings on their iTunes. Because I'm not an Apple user, I don't use iTunes, so I can't give you guys a 5-star rating. But you'll be 5-star in my book every time.
Just download iTunes.
I could. I
just
hate
set up an account. Come on, man.
I have an account from when I used to have Apple, but But make sure you give them the 5-star reviews, and they read those on the air, so you can have your 15 seconds of fame as well. Yeah, Matt. I'm sorry, I'm disappointing Matt over there, but I'm going to. Ask you guys to follow me on Twitter and Twitch as well. I'll have my links down there. You can see it below my name, so you know when my Shardcast become available. It's actually above you, Matt. So, yeah. And make sure if you have games you would like to have Shardcasted to let me know about them. I'm always looking for content to cast. So put it out there. Let me know about it, and I'll cast it. In the meantime, I'll be teaming up with these two gentlemen again here in a couple of days as we record episode 32 of Threshold Hex Podcast. So, again, appreciate you guys tuning in. Gentlemen, stick tight for just a few more minutes as I close out the show here. And I will see you guys on episode 30. Actually, that'll be episode 40 of Shardcast. Wow, this is episode 39 already. So, but again, I appreciate everybody tuning in. And we will see you guys next time. Brace yourself.